Alright, so the spoilers are out, and this is going to be the first time I'm reading them, so let's live react to it together. The chapter begins with All for One in a cave saying that lies don't work against him. It's because of a quirk he stole from a man years ago, and that ironically enough, one of his descendants operates side by side with All Might. Probably referring to Suguchi since his sister Makoto has a similar quirk to the one described. Interesting. Suguchi's name is coming up here. Not going to say anything else. You probably already know my thoughts on this character. But let's go into what Makoto's quirk is, because it's called Polygraph, and it allows the user to judge the authenticity and genuineness of their target's words, telling them if they speak the truth or if they are lying. The condition for this quirk's activation is direct physical contact with their target. The power is vulnerable to technicalities, as shown when Koichi, who is the MC of Vigilantes, was able to successfully lie to Makoto because she got his vigilante name wrong when asking if he was the Crawler. And by the way, guys, could you please subscribe to this channel? I do the spoilers every Thursday, and I'm going to be doing the chapter reviews whenever they are available. We only have a year left of this series, so let's, all ride together. So I guess it kind of has to be like one of their ancestors that he stole the quirk from, and this is pretty interesting because we didn't know this before. Now, I don't really think we've seen All for One touch a lot of people, but maybe the quirk is like retcon for the main continuity possibly, because if he did get like an ancestor's quirk, it wouldn't really necessarily be stronger than what Makoto has, because the quirks get stronger as they are passed down, not the opposite. But then again, it's not like a perfect science, so we'll have to see how it works. But this being mentioned here obviously means that it's going to come into play later. Next, we see him enter into a phone call with Aoyama's mother, which passes off as a message disguised as a conversation about wine. He says he is in the mood for a Macallan. Pretty sure Macallan is Scotch, but I don't know, maybe it's wine in the My Hero world. And she says that her son can deliver it to him the next day. In this context, he is referred to as uncle. And after the conversation is over, he confirms to himself that no lies have been told. Okay, so there it is. It immediately came into play. We then see Deku going to meet Aoyama with a cell phone in his hand. Yuga thanks him for coming, but Deku is confused because he thought he was still in prison. After answering that his parents' lawyers have arranged for his acquittal, Midoriya turns to run and tells the other students. But Aoyama stops him and asks if he would like to know the real plan of the All for One. The destruction of Japan will be followed by a devaluation of the yen and the bankruptcy of many Japanese companies. The social instability will lead to an increase in the number of villains and widespread chaos, being similar to the Great Depression or the period of the rise of quirk. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. I like that they keep mentioning the past here. Unfortunately, we never really get like a good look at it, and we probably never will. But like once quirks like manifested in humanity outside of just the glowing baby, it's implied that humanity kind of came to a standstill, and it took like a while before things got like back on track, which is understandable. I mean, it's kind of surprising the world didn't just straight up end. Other countries will prioritize their own and deny any aid to Japan, but in the long run, this will lead to an international conflict where each seeks only to maintain internal security. This is, kind of similar to what's going on in Jujutsu Kaisen right now. I won't spoil anything, but, if you know, you know. Not saying Horikoshi is stealing, of course. I mean, all battle mangas parallels each other to some extent. In this devastated scenario, who will be the one to provide water for the nations in need? Gas, electricity, all resources can be generated with the quirks that All for One possesses. So yeah, he wants to be like the all-reliant god. Midoriya says that it is still too early to predict this apocalyptic scenario since they are all still there to stop All for One. Aoyama apologizes and says that in the end, he still wants to protect the safety of his mother and father. As he cries, we see All for One floating behind him. Okay, here we go. Deku is shocked and All for One praises Aoyama's actions, asking if it was his parents who told him about his final plan. He confirms and he says that they promised that they would be happy in the world that All for One will create. Deku shouts that he trusted him and Aoyama bows. crying and shaking. What he does next is turn around quickly and shoot a laser in All For One's direction. Okay, that's for sure the second user's quirk. We've been talking about this for like over a year now, I think. And given that he has like those Mega Man-esque gauntlets on his hands, or Ultraman inspired, whatever it is, it was very likely that it was going to be some kind of laser or projectile thing. All For One used an air wave to quickly mobilize and dodge the shot. We saw Shigaraki use the same kind of maneuvering back in the war, calling Aoyama a fool. Deku starts saying that Aoyama's performance was very realistic, and Aoyama replies that it was the only way to fool an opponent of that level, and adds that Deku himself was also able to lie very well. Aoyama is still shaking, but shouts that he will face All For One to protect his parents. A little too late for that, Aoyama. All For One is very confused, remembering the conversation he had with Aoyama's mother, and confirming once again that there was no trace of falsehood in her speech. He then decides to stop trying to look for an explanation and focuses on the fact that One For All is right in front of him. While taking off his jacket, he says that Tomura has observed many heroes using search during the war, and none of them are in the vicinity. Their chance of winning is nil. At this time, many villains begin to appear through the goo quirk used for teleportation, including Togedabi and Shigaraki. Okay, so I'm guessing this is like a reverse of what had happened with the original war, and I think I might have talked about this in a video before about how like we saw the heroes get the jump on the villains, but now the villains are going to get the jump on the heroes. When all seemed lost, a small portal begins to form behind Aoyama. Okay, this is Avengers Endgame for sure. Out of it comes Monoma, and soon after, a legion of heroes. Aoyama says that his parents said that the thing All For One hates the most is the fact that the rest of the world knows that Japan is not yet doomed to failure. A light of hope still shines, and if Japan holds onto it, the whole world will come together. That is why they will defeat him here and now. Okay, so this is for sure the beginning of the end. Like, this is like the final battle, the final stretch of chapters that we are going to have. So as for the portals behind them, it looks like Kurogiri's quirk. So I'm assuming that Aizawa and whoever else got through to Kurogiri, because we did see them in the previous chapter. So I don't know if like he's Shirakumo now and he has access to Kurogiri's abilities still. But as for the heroes assisting Izuku, you know, Avenger style, we see Endeavor, Edgeshot, Gang Orca, Mirko's back, and she has some kind of gauntlet type prosthetic shield looking thing. Wash, Shishido. I think this might be the first time we're going to see him in battle, maybe. Looks like the big three's there too. But yeah, this is a very exciting chapter, and I'm really looking forward to where it's going. But let me know what you think about this in the comments, guys. And if you liked the video, please subscribe. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.